I'm going to show you how to drop your headliner, and this is useful if you want to remove the factory roof rails for a clean look like you see here, or if you want to install one of these 3 full-length roof racks from JW Off-Road, Spider, or Prinsu. A lot of these steps can be done in any order, but I started with the sun visors. I used a flathead screwdriver to push those clips in, and that piece comes out. I used a plastic pry bar for trim to take that cover off. 2 Phillips head screws in there, then it comes down. You can see that there's a connector. Then you can take off the A-pillar covers. There are airbags in here, and there's 2 plastic clips that kind of hold them in place. If they're deployed, they kind of pivot and swing up out of your way. Then I've removed the dome light. You can see that I've upgraded the dome light quite a bit. Those 2 LED panels are super bright and they still use less current than the original incandescent bulb. Just pry down on it and pop out the plastic connector. Here's the rear dome light. You can see a little mud and that comes out easy and unplugs. These are kind of interesting. A flathead screwdriver to pry on the little slot in the plastic on each side. And then when you do, on both sides, that little plastic piece pops out. There's 2 little metal clips in there. Here you can see it on the same side, or the other side. Again, a little twist to pop them out. Then you pull down on those 2 plastic things. There you can see them. And then you just kind of wiggle it a little bit, and it pops loose. So it's really secure, obviously, because you can hang on it, basically. And it also helps hold the headliner up. So next thing we're going to do is drop the top center console eyesight cover thing. Pry off that plastic piece in the middle, then an 8mm socket to remove the 2 bolts. Prying down on it just to undo some plastic clips. These are not your eyesight cameras. This is just a cover, a protection for them. I've removed it and replaced it many times, and my eyesight system still works perfectly. A couple connectors out there if you might have seen. Next, the rubber trim around the doors. It's really easy. You just pull down on it and it comes loose. There's a seatbelt cover here. You just kind of gently pry on it and it comes loose. Continuing to remove the plastic trim. It's super easy. You just push it on and it sticks on there. This piece of trim I removed. You just lift up on it. It's got some little plastic clips. All the plastic clips are really robust. I didn't break a single one, so don't be afraid if that's a concern. Similar system in the back, except that plastic piece, kind of like the kick protection, did not want to pop up back here, but it's no matter because it just the rubber trim is inserted a couple inches on each end. Now to remove the seatbelt bracket, just remove the bolt and set it aside, and then you pry out on the outer edges of that black plastic trim, as you can see there. Just be gentle, take your time. There you can see a bolt. We remove that to remove the top plastic piece, because we got to get the whole headliner to come down. So it's super loose. We just have to pop the top loose, and there you can see it is coming down. There's that little blue plastic push tab. Now the trickiest bit, in my opinion, was all this plastic back here. There's so much plastic and it's all interconnected, so you'll definitely want to watch this section a couple times. But you take off by twisting those 2 plastic pieces, those 2 little hooks, and then there's 2 Phillips underneath there, and then you kind of gently start prying on it. And as it comes apart, I will show the piece to show you where the plastic tabs are underneath, so you kind of know what to target and what it looks like underneath. I was using a flathead screwdriver to get one of the plastic push tabs undone. There you can see one at the top. There's not a lot to say here, but you need to see the process, worked all the way through. This is a good time for me to point out that I did not do this the traditional way. You'll see that when I delete the roof rails, it kind of gets a little unconventional. I just want to go ahead and say now that you should probably just order the correct replacement parts from Subaru or a Subaru part supplier. There you can see one of those push pins that I use the flathead screwdriver on. And there's some more plastic push pins at the top. Now at this point you can actually get the headliner to come down a little bit. On the right you'll see a piece of tape that I had to peel up just to give that wire a little more room to come down. I'm happy to report that there are no weird rattly noises coming from the headliner, so there's no sensitive bits that are really picky about being back in their correct location. Here's one of the bolts that holds the roof rail on. There are I think 4 of them on each side. 1, 2, yeah, 4 of them on each side. 2 in that front section, 1 in the middle and 1 in the back. Once you remove the nuts on the bottom, then you can just carefully lift. This is the second factory trim piece that I'm removing. You pop the front straight up, and then you can slide the whole thing out. It has these really interesting plastic clips that I'll show you here in a second. Wear gloves because it is very thin, sharp metal. This is the piece that I would recommend that you buy from Subaru. So use the existing mounting hardware and just replace it with one that doesn't have the roof rails. You can get sunroof check and no roof rails trim piece. That's what it looks like. Really delicate. And then let me show you the plastic pieces. That's the one that you popped up at the beginning, and then these kind of they look like the head of a nail, and the plastic trim piece goes on and then slides forward to clip in place. And those 2 kind of long skinny sections on each side are the rails that the trim piece slides on. There you can see one of the kind of nail heads that's welded in place. I'm a lunatic, so I broke out the grinder and I removed them with a power tool. You can see that I'm not afraid to grind the paint off and expose the metal underneath, but don't worry, we'll take care of that. So got to fill these holes because I absolutely do not want any water leaking inside the car. That is my main priority. So I put a piece of Gorilla Tape on the bottom there. That's actually the second piece. I put one on and then I peeled it off just to get any residue off, and then I pushed the tape into the metal really, really hard to make it seat well, because it needs to be waterproof for long enough for the silicone stuff to harden up. Here you can see the silicone stuff. Well, here's a picture of it that I used to fill these holes. It's marine grade, and then so I filled up the hole, and then once I got to the top, I kind of gently spread it out so that it kind of has a larger surface to bond to. This ended up getting covered with not liquid Flex Seal, but the Gorilla Tape version of it because I wanted to make the channel a bit more flat. On the left side you can see it's a little bit raised there, and it was causing trouble with my weird random door trim that I found on Amazon. I was a little bit impatient. I probably should have ordered the correct part. But this is what I used to fill the trim. It looks pretty good. It was a little weird, and I would not recommend taking this approach, but you do get to see what the car looks like without roof rails, and I think it looks very clean, very nice. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help. Thanks for watching.